Over 300 days in our resistance in Gaza. I repeat, our resistance in Gaza.
Why is it that anti-Israel activists can chant for violent jihad in front of the Canadian Parliament while trampling an Israeli flag, and this is not making national news? The term jihad, once meaning struggle or resistance, now commonly connotes terrorism and holy war. Those advocating jihad today are often extremists within the Islamic community, especially when this is shouted by a pro-Palestine man in support for a region under strict Sharia law. Since October 7th, 2023, tensions in Canada have surged, following a terrorist attack by Hamas on Israel that killed over 1,000 people and took more than 250 hostages. Anti-Israel activists have regularly taken to the streets. What started as relatively moderate rhetoric has now escalated to outright unacceptable and intolerable displays. Last Saturday, a convoy of activists gathered in Ottawa. At Parliament, pro-Hamas supporters wore shirts depicting Abu Abaida, a Hamas spokesperson. One leader was seen in a shirt featuring a red inverted triangle used by Hamas to identify targets for their violent killings, alongside an image of a AK-47 rifle and Arabic writing. Mahmoud Khalil, a pro-Hamas from the Montreal area, a figure I reported on previously, called for jihad while stomping on the Israeli flag. Khalil has repeatedly worn a Hamas pin and chanted anti-Semitic slogans in Ottawa, Toronto, and Montreal.
You are the leader.
He doesn't want to talk to you. We don't want to talk to you.
Are you aware of what you're doing?
He is the
This
leader.
is harassment. You are harassing a Palestinian student right now.
Harassing
You are
people.
harassing a Palestinian right now.
Imagine if the situation were reversed. If someone were attacking a Muslim country or religion, protesting in front of a mosque, as they did with synagogue, or vandalizing an Islamic nation flag. Wouldn't authorities crack down, labeling such acts as Islamophobic? Remember the 16-year-old who took down a LGBTQ flag at his school, a story I covered last year. The Director of Criminal and Penal Prosecution launched an investigation for incitement of hatred, and the boy was transferred to another school after speaking out confidentially. But trampling an Israeli flag and calling for jihad while wearing pro-Hamas shirt is totally fine. There is a notable lack of law enforcement regarding the anti-Semitic speeches and chants spread by these activists, especially given the rising incidence of anti-Semitic crimes. It's concerning that the government, media, and state are not addressing or exposing these issues. Recently, anti-Israel activists disrupted by blocking the Montreal Pride Parade. The police redirected the parade route, but did not remove the protesters. Many attendees left early, and some called it a hate crime. Yet this incident received minimal media coverage and no political condemnation, an outcome that would likely differ if the protesters were from a less favored group. That's for sure. We are seeing a double standards in policing, with more relaxed regulation applied to certain privileged groups. It feels as though we are heading towards a system where some citizens are treated with greater tolerance than others, similar to what we observed during COVID.
We are an extension to the resistance in Palestine. This is what we can do here in Canada. We are the resistance here in Canada. Over 300 days in our resistance in Gaza. I repeat, our resistance in Gaza. has been holding it strong and proving to the whole world that they will never surrender to anyone coming into our land. La ilaha illallah! La ilaha illallah! Washahid Habib Allah! Palestine and Hussein, no intifada. Tell them we don't stand there, we stand against the intifada. Let them see what the resistance would do there. We are the voice of the resistance and we stand with the resistance. إنه لجهاد! إنه لجهاد!
Are supporters of terrorist groups allowed to glorify them and call for jihad without facing legal consequences? The criminal code is clear. Section 83.18 states that anyone who knowingly participates in or supports a terrorist group activities can be charged with an indictable offense and face up to 10 years in prison. Despite the availability of these offenders' name online, the law is not being enforced, emboldening them to further their glorification. Meanwhile, we see the heavy hand of the government continue to go after those who push back against the ridiculous COVID mandates and restrictions, such as with Tamara Lich, still in court for her peaceful protest from 2022. Who will be held accountable when these calls for jihad turn into real violence? Go over and sign our petition at Pro-Hamas.com. If you believe that the people who are here on a visa, who are here on a student visa, who are here temporarily, and they are glorifying and supporting and advocating for a terrorist group, and you believe that those people do not belong here in Canada, go over Pro-Hamas.com, sign our petition, and ask for them to be deported from Canada.